friends. I have been sewing since I was very young. Hand sewing off and on since age 4 and machine sewing since age 12. I have picked up quite a bit of knowledge on what is and isn't needed for a beginner sewist in my ridiculous amount of years of sewing. So for both of my hand sewists and machine sewists, here are 10 items that you need to begin your sewing journey. I'll link to some of the items in the description to give you an idea. Hand sewing, the oldest method of sewing, around since antiquity. The primary method of putting together garments and other various such things until the invention of the sewing machine. The way that many a person still utilizes to create garments. I'm looking at you, historical sewing people. It's portable, it's fun, and it doesn't take many things. 1. Sewing needles. For a long time I used a random round assortment of needles that a family member gave to me from a now defunct store. Then I learned in fashion school that the kind of sewing needle that you use matters. I had no clue. Now I have a few types of needle for certain tasks. Sharps for my usual sewing in a matter of sizes. If I'm doing millinery, I have longer needles for that. The eye of the sewing needle should be nice and smooth all around so there is no snagging or breaking of the thread. Number 2, thread. Depending on what you're sewing, you will need a certain type of thread. Using a natural fiber thread for your natural fiber materials, but you can use whatever you have on hand. I have linen thread, silk thread, and polyester thread on hand now. For one project I am using silk thread, and the material is, I'll put it here. It goes through smoothly, and with my ridiculously small back stitches, it will stay nice and strong. Number 3, scissors. You need to cut your fabric and your threads and any little fuzzy bits that appear. And I don't know, scissors are pretty self-explanatory. They have specific thread snips or embroidery scissors, sewing shears, pinking shears, decorative sewing shears. I have a lot of scissors. Oops. Number 4, a thimble. It is a necessity, but you might want to have one around just in case you're sewing through very thick and tough fabrics, or you just want to protect your dominant finger that's pushing your needle along. Number 5, your hands. The most important tool in your sewing are your lovely hands. Just take care of them, moisturize them, stretch them as needed. Be kind to them. Now for machine sewing. I learned to sew on a 1950s Singer featherweight that belonged to my great-grandmother. I sewed mostly doll clothes until I decided to make cosplays for San Diego Comic-Con. Then I decided to make my own vintage wardrobe in about 2012, and I haven't looked back since. So number 6, you have your sewing machine. I have a vintage Singer sewing machine that is from 1954. There's a serial number that you can look up online on the International Sewing Machine Collectors Society website to see when and where your sewing machine was made. This is the serial number database. It shows when your machine was made. This is the dating database, and it shows where your machine is made. Mine's Scottish. Number 7, pins. You will need to be able to keep the item that you're sewing all together, not knocked askew and made cattywampus while you're working. I have a little jam jar of straight pins, and I have a nice pin cushion as well. I don't use the glass-headed pins as much, but that just means being extra careful when they fall. Number 8, sewing machine needles. Certain things you're sewing will need certain needles, similar to your hand sewing. Go figure. I have universal needles, some for knits, some for leather from a project that I never finished in 2008, but I still have floating around for some reason, and some older sewing machine needles that are in this cute little package. Number 9, your iron. Press your seams. I have this lovely iron that a friend bought me. I don't put water in the reservoir. I have this little spray bottle, and the steam happens that way. It has its heating numbers, and the highest are for wool, cotton, and linen, but it can sew a variety of other things. And number 10, your pattern. You're gonna need something to sew. And if you know anything about me, I have a lot of vintage sewing patterns. But here are a couple that I had easily accessible. I just want to make myself a bunch of nice garments. Is that too much to ask? And that's it. I think I'll make a more advanced items video in the future. Do you think I forgot anything? I think a special number 11 could be your imagination, but we're only doing even numbers today. But if I did include it, then number 12 would be your sewing machine oil. If you want a nice, quiet, chill, whimsical video to see how to take care of your machine, check here, there, wherever it is. Thank you for watching. Have a good time gathering your sewing supplies. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Do all of the things to appease the rhythms of a certain former president. Bye, guys. Thank you.